we're here with Chris Grumbine. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. Sure. This is going to be a little bit of a different one, not just pickleball related like all the other ones have been. Today we're going to talk about functional fitness. And you are 70 years old.
I'm 70 years old. I was 70 in April. Yeah, just a milestone. Yeah.
And you've been lifting for how long now?
Well, I did some weight training in high school, and I've always been enthralled and interested in bodybuilding. It's just something that just always fascinated me. These guys just looked Herculean to me. Mm-hmm. And I did weight training in high school, and even when I went to Shepherd, I did some weight training there. But it wasn't until I met John DeCola, who's a 1969 IFBB Mr. America. He had the first fitness club here in Hagerstown. I met him. And I remember the first time I walked in that gym, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to like it here. I mean, yeah. And pretty much everything I know and learned about weight training, I learned from him. And John was also a natural bodybuilder. In fact, he got out of competition because he knew he just couldn't compete with steroids or anything like that. And it was, I mean, just straightforward exercise is what it was. You know, weight training and everything. Nothing newfangled or anything like that. And of course, I mean, like, I lifted heavy back then. I was young and all that, you know. And yeah, we went through that phase where, okay, let's see how much we can bench press, how much we can squat and do all that, you know. And I think every young guy kind of goes through that when they get into that. But after a while, it's like, okay, you know. And even he taught us too, don't worry about that so much, just, you know. And that's kind of like how I got my start. And I was probably, at that time, I was probably about 21, something like that. So I guess technically, I'd say when I was 21 when I seriously started getting into it. So it's been a few years.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
Well, you look fantastic. I mean, I'm sure there's 100,000 70-year-olds who wish they had the physique you did. So obviously you've been doing something right with the training, and that was one of the big reasons we wanted to have you on the podcast, especially with Sarah chasing #1 pro singles in pickleball. You know, and with her being 55 and the functional training that we do off the court, which we're huge on. So, you know, we really wanted to come in and pick your brain and talk about, how that looks and, how people have, what you've seen as far as clientele as well, you know, how aging, you know, obviously may slow you down some, but there's still people out there who are, you know, in their 70s, 80s that are still doing this functional fitness.
They are. Well, most of my clients are older people. I mean, the two ladies I train, they're both in their 70s. I have two gentlemen that I train, they're in their early 80s. And another gentleman I train, he's in his mid 70s. And of course, what they want to do, I mean, they're not worried about physique competitions or powerlifting meets or anything like that. But they all have grandchildren, they have lives, and they want to be able to do things with them. And
stay active.
To stay active. Just like, I know the one lady that I trained, she, up in Greencastle every Christmas, they always have the horse-drawn wagons that takes you around the town of Greencastle. Well, one thing that concerned her was getting into that wagon. You know. Well, with what we've been doing here, she just basically jumped right into it. You know.
That's great. And how old is she?
She's 72. She's 72 years old. And she said, "Yeah, Chris, I could do that." And I was so proud of myself. I said, "Good for you. I think that's great." And that's kind of what I think what it's about with training older people. And also when I train older people, there's a lot less drama. I mean, they're here, they're always here on time and all that, but they're a lot of fun to train too. And I was telling you about my one client, he used to play a lot of tennis. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really play tennis anymore because I think like I said, he was more or less afraid of falling. Mm-hmm. You know, but his balance is good, and we work on those issues too. And he does real well. He really does. And he does a lot of like walking and things like that, and he just wants to be able to continue to do that type, you know, workout, and it's worked well for him, you know. And yeah, my wife has told me before, and well, you know my wife, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even Karen, there's a story in itself right there. Back in 2000, my wife had a brain aneurysm. She had surgery for it, and then she had a stroke, and she's partially disabled on her left side, but she still rides a stationary bike and everything. She still does that. In fact, we got to get a new one because the one we got now is wore out. But that's another thing too, just to be able to just keep doing things like that. And you know, I really enjoy training older clients. I really do. And my wife told me one time, she goes, wouldn't you like to train somebody to really get into bodybuilding? And I said, yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to do that. But it's been so long since I've done something like that. I said, I said, let the younger people do that. I'm not worried about that too much. I like my older clients. I do. And it's to me, it's about being able to just do the things you want to do. If you want to go to the beach, take a walk along the beach. You know what I mean? And if you want to get on a bicycle, take a ride on a bicycle. You know, really. And I'm a firm believer in strength training. I really am. I just, you know, and I'm not saying strength training is the number one thing you have to do, but I do feel that it goes hand in hand with other sports you want to do too. I really do. You know, strength training. There's something I read here not too long ago. I think it was a professor from Harvard, and it was geared more towards men, but I think it's good for everyone, especially as men as they age. One of the best things they can do is keep their legs strong. Keep your legs strong, because it will help with, of course, your balance and everything else. And I was reading this, I'm thinking, well, that's, you know, that kind of fits what I'm trying to do and everything. And just like today. Now, my routine that I do isn't really for everybody, and I don't lift near as heavy as I used to. But I did a routine. In fact, I worked my legs today, and I did a leg press today. It's a routine called 8 sets of 8. That's what it is. You do 8 sets and you do 8 reps with 20 seconds rest between each set. So you're going through 8 sets in a pretty short amount of time. You are. And I have to admit, when I'm done that, I'm huffing and puffing pretty good. I really am. And I'm thinking, gee, I can still do this. Wow.
That's good. Do you change the weights from set to set?
Actually, on that one, I don't. I'll start out with a lighter weight, then I'll put on a little heavier, and I'll leave it at that. Because that last set, I'm just barely getting 8 reps. And that's what I want. You know, because if you're doing 8 sets and you get it all done very easily, well, then you need to up it a little bit. The only thing is with that was only the first exercise. It was 8 sets of 8. Then I had 2 more to do. And,
oh, wow.
and it worked pretty good. But what I like about it also, especially the way this spring has been, it's been hard to get outside and do things. I love to get down the canal and take a nice power walk or something. Well, we haven't been able to do it. I mean, it's just with all the rain. But a routine like that, it gets your heart rate up. It gets it up pretty good. It really does. And then sometimes what I'll do when I get done my routine, then maybe I might finish off maybe a little of a battle rope routine or something like that. And then I'm done. I'm ready to go home and enjoy my recliner a little bit.
I know for sure battle ropes are something that we've wanted to implement into our training. That's definitely something that's been on the agenda for a while.
It just so happens I have the one set up downstairs, so when we're done here, if you want to go down and try it out, we can.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Sounds great.
That'd be awesome. Well, I'd love to get your take on what we're doing as far as our functional fitness for weighted vests, and the rucking and the running. We've had some mixed reactions from people. Obviously there's always a detriment to, or there's a possibility of detriment with training, right? There always is going to be.
There's always that possibility of overtraining.
Right, overtraining.
I've done it. I have, I'll be the first to admit I've overtrained. I have. And I know, I don't do it quite as much now because I kind of know, but okay, let's back off here. But when I was younger, oh gosh, yes. It's like, it'd be like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous, And I can remember doing giant sets years ago too, where you do about 5 exercises all in a row, no rest in between. And it's kind of hard for me to do that now. But what you're doing, I think is great. Really, I do. I think that's a good workout. Personally, I would probably have a harder time doing it because with me having neck surgery and things like that, a little bit of the pounding. But
right.
I think, like, for instance, when I was younger, when your age, I would do something like that. I wouldn't mind that. I think that's a good workout. I would rather do that type of workout than just get out and just go running.
Right.
I really would.
Right.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to mention any names, but my former business partner here, all he does now is run. He's just a runner now. We used to work out together, and we had some good weight training sessions together. All he does now is run. And I look at him and I'm thinking, man, Steve, you're really thin. Yeah. But But he is that's what he wants to do. So okay, that's fine. But I have told his wife, I said he needs to strength train a little bit.
Well, and that's what I have found the most helpful as far as the weighted vest goes, is if I was, when I would come out of winter and get back into running, when I was doing like half marathons all the time, I'd drop a ton of weight, I'd get super thin, looked unhealthy. Same with cycling. Legs were great, core was weak, no real upper body strength. And with the weighted vest, it's just, I feel like an entire body workout when I'm out running, and then finish it off with some incline push-ups, decline push-ups, tricep dips.
That's
and you can take it on the road.
That's a great comment.
Yeah, we keep them in the back of the car, and you can use them anywhere.
That's true. That's right. I mean, that resistance bands, something like that, anything like that. Like for instance, when we go on vacation or like that, I usually don't work out much when I go on vacation because I usually try to time it. That's my week that I'm taking a break. Now, sometimes I will take resistance bands with me, or just like you said, I'll usually go take a walk, at least a good power walk, and I might do some calisthenics, things like that. But the last place I go to is a gym. I'm on vacation. I don't want to do that now.
Right.
Really. But no, I think what you're doing is great. I mean, because that's basically a full body workout in itself. It really is. And it's kind of almost a little bit like a hip routine too. Really. And I'm a firm believer in that. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes we do it low impact. Like we take the weighted vest hiking on steep inclines, so it's low impact, but it's still a great cardio workout and absolutely that strength training workout.
Oh, it's just like a good combination of both. Now, one thing I will say, like when you're running, I mean, your circulatory system, your heart, all that's in great shape. It is, as far as that goes. It really is. I personally have never been a runner. Now sprints, things like that, I always enjoyed doing that, but to be that's just never been me. And of course, then again, we were all taught way back when, oh no, you want to run that tears you down too much, especially when you're trying to be a bodybuilder.
Right.
And I think there is some truth to that, but I still think you can blend it. I really do. I really, there's, you can combine those words. I think what you're doing is great. I do. I see your posts and everything. I'm like, oh yeah. Sometimes I want to comment more. I'm like, I may just let it go. Yeah.
It's super helpful for the athlete in training, and then also, like for me in my case, like for bone density as I'm aging, especially as a woman, to try and prevent losing bone density. It has so many purposes.
Ladies, as they get a little older, I know, because to my clients, well, that's another thing. What's the, I can't think of the name of the bone density test you can have, where they test your bone density. And they've been training with me for about 3 years now. And they have increased their bone density by about 10 to 15%. And it just makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
You mentioned something how when you go on vacation, you try and time it with your rest. What's your philosophy on rest in training? Like, where does that fit in?
I think it depends on the person. I mean, somebody who's very young would not be quite as frequent. Me, I try to take a break about every maybe 7-8 weeks. About 8, maybe every 8 weeks, I'll take a break. And what I mean by that is I don't really hardly do any weight training that week. I might still go out and walk some, maybe even do a battle rope routine, but I don't really do any weight training because my joints are usually telling me, okay, it's time to take a little bit of a break. But then again, I'm older too, and there's a lot of times I'll be looking at some people doing certain weight training exercise. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't done that in a while, and then I realize, okay, now I know why I don't do that. But about every 8 weeks, something like that. Yeah.
And then how long would a rest be?
About a week. I'll take about a week off. And I tell you, when I come back after a week off, I feel good. I mean, I feel good. I feel strong, and I think it really helps. And there's a gentleman who used to train here. His name was Doc Junkins. Doc was one of our mentors. He was a power lifter and a bodybuilder, and he was in his 70s. And actually, he ended up drowning a few years ago, which was a shame. But he whenever I told him, "Oh, Doc, I'm going on vacation," he goes, "Are you going to work out?" I said, "No." He goes, "Good for you, good for you." And that's the way he talked. Yeah, good buddy, good. And it was he was a great guy. But yeah, and he was one of those type too. But whatever Doc said, okay, that's what we're going to do. But yeah, I'll take about a week off, and I come back. I feel good. I feel good. I'm just glad that I can still do this, after all these years. Really, I am. I feel that I'm blessed.
Well, I think, and it's a testament to your routine and how well you've taken care of yourself, I would say. I mean, a guy in his 30s, like, I look up to you being like, well, I want to be still working out the way you do in my 70s.
Well, I appreciate that. I do. And I'm hoping I can, inspire some people to do that. I know there for a while, this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I took a lengthy break. I didn't do anything. I just got really lazy. I don't know. I just didn't work out at all. And I knew what to do and everything. I just didn't do anything. And I put on a lot of weight. I did. And I can remember my daughter Emily. Mm-hmm. She was little then. She was probably, well, you'd have been pretty young then too. Yeah. And she was probably around 5, maybe 6. And we were in the basement. We were cleaning up some stuff, and she found some old pictures of me when I used to compete. And she looked at them. She said to me, she goes, "Daddy, that's when you were strong." And I'm like, "Oh boy."
Oh no.
And she was getting that age too, where she wanted to do things outside. And I thought, okay, all right, Chris, it's time to get back in shape. And that's when I did the Body for Life routine. That's what really got me back into it again. And it was basically a 12-week program, but it's called Body for Life. And it takes about 12 weeks, but then you still continue it. And when I started, I was like 228 pounds. And in 12 weeks' time, I went down to 195.
Wow.
And it was a combination of weight training, cardio hit routines. Mm-hmm. And I was eating about 6 smaller meals a day. And it worked. It worked. It really did. And I sort of still follow that same type of program. I might not be doing 6 meals a day now, but it's more frequent meals. And I still try to follow some of those type of routines and everything. Yeah. The battle rope is kind of taken over. Instead of using a stationary bike or a treadmill, the battle rope's kind of taken over that. And that is a hit routine. It's a sprint routine is what it is. Yeah. And along with other things like when you talk about functional exercise like ball slams, I call walking ball slams. You have basically a ball. You walk up, slam it, go up to pick it up, slam it again, and you do the length of the room, and it works pretty good.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
And it's about a 15, 20-pound ball is what it is. And the nice thing about like that, battle ropes don't cost much, and you can take them with you. You really can. Right. And medicine balls don't cost much either. Mm-hmm. They really don't. Yeah.
That's why we're so big on the weighted vest, and we've implemented weighted jump ropes into our routine,
mm-hmm. Yes,
which
I've
has
seen
been
that.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that burns.
Yeah,
that burns something awful.
I've watched you. I see your post about it. I'm thinking more, John. More power to you on that.
I mean, that when you feel it is a full body workout. But all these things that we've tried to not just implement, but I mean, we're trying to see how they work for us, but to showcase to other people that you don't have to spend a ton of money on gym equipment to get into really good shape, and you can take it with you and travel.
That's right.
I mean, with her playing the APP tour, we go and we're sleeping in a car.
Yeah.
We're car camping.
Yeah, we're car camping.
I see that, yeah.
We have all our equipment with us. If we go hike, we throw the weighted vest on. If we're in a parking lot, we do the weighted jump ropes, maybe some speed ropes. We'd like to incorporate a medicine ball at some point, but it's something that you can take with you on the road, and then you're getting your workout in every single time, and you don't have to worry. Now, obviously, with her playing, I try to taper her off before an event. I'm not having her in a weighted vest, just doing sprint intervals a week before playing singles.
That's true. That'd be a bit rough.
Yeah, but all these things we've really been trying to not gatekeep and try to get our listeners to go out and invest really a little bit of money, and they see these excellent results from it. So.
Oh yeah. It's sorry, I forgot to turn the volume.
You're
down. Good. I mean, and you can take them anywhere. You can. I mean, just like, for instance, if you had a battle rope, heck, you could wrap that around one of the wheels in your car.
Yeah,
and you really could.
That's smart.
I think we need to do that.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're or if you're on a trail somewhere, wrap it around a tree. There's all kinds of things.
These are good ideas.
Yeah.
And it's so efficient, not just for space, like we said, but also for time. Like a weighted jump rope routine, 20 minutes, and you're cooked.
You're done. You're done on that. Yeah. People. Yeah. The people think when jumping rope, they're thinking, okay, this little jump rope. No, that's a beast workout, right?
It is.
Oh,
it is.
Yeah. I mean, last summer, my routine was the a mile to 3 miles with the weighted vest on run, and then 500 with the weighted jump rope. You're at 2.5 pounds. I was using the 5-pound one, and then 500 speed ropes. And by the time you're done, you're cooked.
I'm at 5 pounds.
Oh yeah, that's right. You are at 5 pounds because 2.5 was too light.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a 2.5 and then was like, "This is boring." So yeah,
it was too many reps before it started to burn. I was like, I'd rather have 5 pounds and do my.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's a full body workout too. It really is. I mean, it's just you're working everything. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm serious because I look at you and I'm thinking, I kind of wish I could do that. I don't know if I could do that now. I don't know.
So you mentioned meals. How does nutrition come into play with your training?
I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. But on the routine I do, and I still try to follow something. Basically, you use the palm of your hand or your fist as a portion. Like for instance, if we'll just say, for example, for dinner, we'll just say, let's say you have a chicken breast. Well, that's the portion of chicken breast. You have like a good carbohydrate with it, like maybe brown rice, wild rice, something like that. Maybe even a baked potato, and then you have a vegetable, maybe broccoli or cauliflower or a side salad, and that's your meal. And of course, the portions aren't big.
Right.
Same way like with the rice and everything, that's the same thing. Use the palm of your hand as a portion, that's what that would be. Now your salad could be a little bigger, that can be. But that's kind of an example. For breakfast, I might have like maybe some scrambled eggs and maybe some oatmeal with it, something like that. Not a great big bowl, but just a small bowl. Now like this morning I had some scrambled eggs this morning and I had some fresh strawberries with just a little bit of whipped cream on top of it. And it was good. I mean, strawberries taste fantastic, and you're not adding hardly any calories or carbs or anything like that. And I don't really, I watch my carbs some, and I'll be the first to admit, I am diabetic, so I got to be careful with that. I am diabetic, and that's just something that happened to me years ago, and so I watch that. But eating this way helps with that too. I keep numbers under control, and in fact. That's just an example right there, like what I have for breakfast. Lunch might be, like for instance, after a workout, I'll drink a protein drink. And then I'll go home and have like a healthy snack, which might mean, that it could mean some deer sticks, maybe, something like that.
Right.
And I'll munch maybe on some celery, some radishes, things like that too, a little with that. Then we have our evening meal, which might consist of maybe, I might make like some chicken or maybe a hamburger steak or, because I do eat beef. People say, "Oh, they stay away from red meat." No, you can have lean red meat. That's fine. Now, I'm not saying I have it every meal, but I do have some.
I do.
I like beef. I do.
Yeah.
Beef has good amino acids in it too. It helps build muscle.
And iron.
Yeah, it does. It's good. And then maybe later on in the evening, I might have maybe a protein drink or something like that. Just yeah.
It sounds like your themes for your eating are portion control, and it sounds like whole foods as opposed to processed foods.
Yes,
well.
Basically that's true. Now, do I still enjoy some ice cream? Sure do. I like some ice cream. On this routine, you follow this routine basically all through the week, but you have one day out of the week which is called a free day or a cheat day, and you can pretty much eat what you want. Now, that doesn't mean you eat junk food all day long, but if you want to go out and have some pizza, have some pizza. If you want to have some cheesecake later on or some ice cream, go ahead and have it. But then the next day, you're back on track again. And it always seemed to work. I read the book on it, and I'm reading this. I'm thinking, this stuff makes sense. It's the first thing I've read. Because there was a book called Body for Life, and I read it, and it had some good information in it. It really did. And of course, my former mentor, well, he's still my mentor, John Nicola, I would also talk to him about it too. And he said, "Oh yeah, Chris," he says, "that's good stuff."
Yeah, one of the biggest things for me is just like taking everything back to a very basic level of just, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
And we've talked to a lot of different people who do a lot of different training routines that, are the new trend, or, it's every year there's something new, and
I know.
Yeah,
stay away from
fad.
eggs, stay away from red meat. And my background, with my the way that my health was, I stayed away from red meat because it was inflammatory. It was this, it was that. And last spring now, I just started eating red meat again after a decade of not. And I can't get enough of it. And I feel great, and I'm putting muscle on. And, and all of a sudden, a lot of that stuff that was touted as being like the next health cure I disproved it completely.
Well, the thing gets to be about this, John, they always say, well, we have the science to back this up. There's a science to back up anything. There's science to back up vegans. There's science to back, carnivore. There's science to back that up too. I still feel in moderation. I'm a firm believer in that. I really do. It's kind of like, now I'll admit I can put some steak away. I can. There's no doubt there. But yeah, just like, well, just for instance, last night for dinner I had spaghetti casserole last night for dinner. So, but one of the reasons why I had that, it had meat in it and everything, and of course cheese and all that. But I had that. It was a good carb meal. Well, today I knew I was doing legs, and I wanted something like that I know would have more energy to do that today, and it does work.
That makes sense. You show up at the gym your best self because of what you ate the day before. Are there certain fitness fads that you've seen that you just knew to bypass right away, but that it seemed like the rest of the fitness world thought was the greatest new trend?
Well, it's like I said, I'm more of an old school trainer.
I love that.
I've seen some things that, and I'll research it, and I'm like, well, they're just kind of reinventing the wheel. It's just things like that. There's been a few things. Of course, you see all kinds of gadgetry on TV and that kind of stuff too. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. But for the most part, some things I've seen I think are pretty good. I can't think of anything specific right now, but a lot of it is just, well, like for instance, I was saying earlier about the 8 sets of 8, and there was mentioned that, oh, that's called German high volume training. Really, German high volume training. There was a bodybuilder by the name of Vince Garanda who had this back in the 50s, in the 1950s, at the 8 sets of 8. And I'm like, okay, so this is German high volume training, and here a bodybuilder came up with this. It's just things like that. It's reinventing the wheel.
Right. Repackaging.
Right. Yes.
Just dumb marketing.
Right.
It's just dumb marketing.
You can market anything. You
really
can.
Right, absolutely. Especially the ones that give you results. Just rename it and repackage it.
That's true.
Put a new price tag on it.
A new price tag. Yep.
Yeah, it's like when I worked at South Point, I've seen a little bit here too, but especially when I worked at South Point, we would be doing our workouts and I'd see people watching us. And I'm like, okay, they're watching what we do. And I would go up and say something, look, if you have any questions, come up and ask me, because I'm not going to charge them. Just, just go up and ask me. I'd be glad to help out. But the one guy used to work there, he said, hey, Chris, what we ought to do when they're watching us, we ought to just do a bogus routine and see if they do it. And I'm like, so as a joke, we did that one day. Nothing that would hurt anybody.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
But then we noticed, and I walked up and said, no, don't do this. We're just carrying on.
It's a social experiment.
Yeah. And needless to say, we didn't do it too often.
That's really funny. So you mentioned that a core value of your fitness training is functional. You called it functional strength or functional fitness?
Well, I'm a firm believer pretty much anything you do can be functional training. It really can. And of course, you've heard the old saying, but work your core. And which, your core should be strong. But I can go out here and do a push down on a machine, and I can feel my whole core tightening up just doing that. And pretty much just about every exercise you do, everything does kind of tighten up. It really does. And and that's, and of course I was saying, I said to you earlier, when I used to work at the prison, we said about functional strength was when you have to subdue an inmate. It's much bigger than you, and I call that, functional strength. But like with me, my philosophy has always been like, you see all kinds of different kinds of training. And we used to joke about this. Like, for instance, you have like obstacle courses where people will climb over the wall. Well, I always had the attitude, I want to knock the wall down.
I love that. Wow.
I mean, I can't really do that anymore. But I mean, that was always sort of like, and it's all. And plus, when I'd be working out, also, I'd tell people, I said, I feel like when I'm working out, I'm like training for battle. That's just kind of the way I feel. I mean, it's your own personal, but really that's what it is.
Absolutely.
And and it always worked for me. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it would work for me.
Right.
Yeah, I had one of my friends, we were working on her car, and she was like, "You train like you're going to war." And I was like, I guess. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, your own war.
Yeah, like if I don't, then I feel it, and it ground, whatever you want to call it, center you, grounding, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it just.
It's a good way to train. I mean, it really is. It's
Yeah.
it's a good mindset, I think. I mean, that doesn't mean you want to go out, but it is a good mindset. It's like, well, it was one day I was training a client, and we went downstairs, and there was a cycle class going on, and that's another thing too. The cycle class, it's cycle class called spinning, spin. And I told the instructor, I said, don't call it that. I said, why don't you call it battle bikes? That just sounds better.
That's
That
great.
sounds more fun.
Yeah. And she was playing this one song, and I said, Michelle, that just doesn't fit. I said, why don't you play Du Hast by Rammstein?
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
And what was funny about it, she had it on her phone, and she started playing it. Oh my gosh, these ladies are looking around like, I was laughing like that. I was loving it. Oh, this is great.
She always has her playlist is all like light and fluffy music as we're running with weighted vest. And I was like, I don't even know how, like mine's like the most angry, like, like if you listen to it, if somebody was just listening to it in their car at a stop sign, you'd be like, oh, I don't want that person anywhere near me. And she's, hers is like light, fluffy butterflies, like
love songs.
There's one. Well, I mean, it's whatever works. I mean, whatever works for you. But I know there's one song it's called the Warrior Song, and it's dedicated to the military. And man, that one just gets me going like anything. It does. Yeah. And there was a lot of young guys at work, real young guys. And I was playing it one day, and they were like, "Yeah, I could work out to that. I like that." But I mean, whatever works. That's
Well, and Sarah always makes a great point. Somebody has to enjoy the way they're working out to continue with it.
Yes.
I mean, they have to. If you hate every day of working out, then you're not going to continue to do it. So I used to have a mindset of it was like it's one size fits all. If I was doing this routine, then I thought it would work for everybody. Everybody, I was like a preacher for it. Everybody should jump on this.
Right.
This is what is working for me. And the more we've implemented different, the vests, the jump ropes, the speed ropes, pickleball. Well, all of that being the catalyst being pickleball.
To get in better shape.
Right, because when Sarah came to me and when we started playing mixed doubles together, and then she was like, "Well, here's my goal." It was like, okay, well, I think I can probably implement some of what I'm doing for you to help on court.
Yeah, let's get off court, get you training. Yeah, I always phrase it as the best workout is the one that you'll do.
That's right. That's true. That's a good philosophy. It really is. Yeah, because just like when people come in here and join the gym, well, the gym's not going to work unless you come and do something.
Yeah.
Really. And it goes with any exercise routine. And like I said, find something you enjoy doing too. It's something that works. It's just like, I mean, weight training and body, I mean, that's just a part of me. I mean, it just is. And I don't consider myself a bodybuilder anymore, but in I am in my heart. I mean, that's just the way I feel. It's my core, I guess you could say. And but yeah, find something you enjoy. I mean, find any type of exercise. It's better than just sitting on the couch. I mean, no matter what you do, really. And and I'll be the first to admit, after I go home from the gym and it's the evening, my recliner feels pretty good. But I'm not in it 8 hours a day.
Right. Right. If it's getting you off the couch, getting you out moving, and that's why we've been so adamant about pushing pickleball the way we do, not just because we enjoy playing it, but because we've seen the health benefits for people.
Well, sure.
Absolutely.
And we've seen people who get off the couch to get onto the court, and then all of a sudden, maybe I will go to the gym. Maybe I will implement a better eating, structure around my day. I don't want the junk food. I'll take the whole food. I do want to go lift some weights now. I thought I couldn't do it. I thought I was too old, or I thought I was too out of shape, or I thought I was this, I thought I was that, and it opens their eyes and they go, I can still do this. And we've seen some amazing transformations of people who that little spark was what they needed, and they're back to where they were at.
That's great. Oh, I love hearing stories like that. Yeah, that's the thing. Pickleball. I mean, okay, it's a sport, it's a game, but it gets you in shape.
Right.
I mean, it will. Yeah, really. That's
Yeah, whatever gets people moving, healthy.
Yeah.
Then it carries over to their mental wellness as well.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. And not to mention, it's also a sport that it doesn't have to be as intense as, like, say, playing a full court of tennis or something like that. You know, if I like the idea of the smaller court anyway. I was like, yeah, oh yeah.
Well, the smaller court too, it's like nothing but sprint intervals.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
not that tennis isn't on a larger scale, but like when we're playing singles, I mean, it's just, it's the agility's wild.
Right.
And it's just nothing but sprint intervals.
It's a lot of back and forth and lateral movements. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That can be intense.
Yeah.
That can be very intense. Oh yeah.
Very.
Well, I want to jump into battle ropes. Are you good to try battle ropes?
That sounds great.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Can we jump into battle ropes?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
We can do it.
Cool.
Oh yeah. We'll
All
do
right.
it.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
That's it. Yep. Yeah. Good.
I
John.
feel like I'm walking really big dogs.
I want one of these so bad.
It's fantastic. Am I done?
Okay. Good. Good job.
It's such a simple piece of equipment.